Everyone thought that AI, when it very first came out, like creative was going to be the last thing it could do. It actually went there. You know, Joe, a lot of people, they say that AI is like, you know, it's going to be as big as the internet. I think it's.
I still am talking to people that are late 50s maybe that are going, what's ChatGPT? I don't need ChatGPT.
My brother the other day, he said he saw this on Twitter. He said these large language models are like.
Hey there, this is the Anvil and Iron podcast. Welcome today. I've got Coach Carroll, who is the CEO, founder, and president of Carroll Media Corp. Hey, Coach Carroll, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, Joe, appreciate you having me here. Shout out to all the listeners. Look forward to spend a little time with you guys, and hopefully it'll be a little entertaining, a little educational, and we'll have some fun.
Absolutely. That's my goal. As well as I just want to talk to innovative minds that are shaping business. All right. Each episode, we sit down with leaders who are forging new paths in business, the kind of people that you really want to know in your network and that you want to connect with. So expect genuine conversations, real insights, zero corporate fluff, and we keep it light, honest, and interesting. So that's why I just want to tell you that I'm super glad to have you on, Coach Carroll. Tell us a little about yourself and Carroll Media Corp.
Yeah, man. So I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. Senior year of high school, turned down 8 football scholarships, started mowing grass, grew that business to about $3 million in revenue, sold it.
Let's go.
Transitioned into power washing and window cleaning, which I still own to this day. Started Carroll Media back in 2016, running Facebook ads for State Farm agents. Since then, we've grown it to service thousands of small businesses all across the U.S. We work with some of the top all-state farmers and state farm agents, obviously, but also love my blue-collar guys because those are my, it's where I come from. And namely, we built an AI platform back in, started building it in 2023, launched it in April of 2024 in the app stores. And her name's Alli. She's your first AI team member, and she does about 80% of the heavy lifting in our agency now. And it was a way for us to continue to deliver, enterprise level solutions to small businesses to keep the affordability there that they need. And so, man, I'm sure we'll dig into some of that. But through and through, man, just an entrepreneur. I have a fundamental belief that entrepreneurs solve all the problems in the world. The government's not showing up to save anybody. And so the more entrepreneurs we can create, the more businesses we can create, the more success we can create, the better off the world is, net positive. So that's me, man.
Well, awesome. So your business is based in Kentucky, is that right?
Yeah. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. So home of fast horses and good bourbon.
I love it. So you were digging deep and you were kind of going all in AI solutions before people even knew what ChatGPT was. Tell me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, man. So November of 2022, I hopped on Alli, which was, OpenAI's image creation platform. It was kind of rocking the scene, and it was like, holy smokes, this stuff can make creative, right? Everyone thought that AI, when it very first came out, like creative was going to be the last thing it could do. It actually went there first, right? And so like now you're seeing Coca-Cola just put out their first fully done television ad that was all AI. And so November 2022, I hop on Alli. I'm like, hey, man, if this thing can do creative, this is going to be a game changer for agencies, because we were social media, right? Like we didn't do AdWords, we didn't do SEO, like all of it was creative based. And so I told the platform, I said, make me an image of a family standing in front of a house. And so as it loads down the screen, I noticed that like their faces were melting, their fingers were real long. And I was like, all right, we're not there yet. But if there's one thing I believe, it's that technology is undefeated. Okay. And so I knew that this was going to be the world that we were going to be living in. Now, I'm not going to blow smoke up anybody's ass. And I had no idea that it would be where we're at now in 2025. Okay. But I knew that if I could figure out a way to use AI, like, man, it could really help us be profitable, because we're bootstrapped. I've been an bootstrapped entrepreneur my whole life. I've never raised capital. I've always, either borrowed money from the banks or raised it from my customers, right? And so I took that breakthrough moment, and I was like, this is going to be the future. And so April of 2023, I went on paternity leave with my wife. We had our first daughter, our first child, and so I had some time to really think about it and figure out where we wanted to go. And that was where the idea of Alli came along. And so, yeah, since then, man, we've continued to build on top of her as technology has transformed and improved greatly, and it's been pretty awesome to see, man. It is Joe, a lot of people, they say that AI is like, it's going to be as big as the internet. I think it's bigger, man, because software, the internet and software, like it kind of like automated like workflows, but AI is going to automate the actual labor, right? As we get further into agentic AI and like these agents that can use multiple tools and do things, you're going to truly replace the labor side, like the work of doing the work. And so that hasn't really been done since the Industrial Revolution, where we created cranes and bulldozers and tractors, right? That it could replace the labor aspect. And so, man, I think we are about to go through an efficiency boom like we have never seen. So I'm super excited for it.
Well, that's really cool. So in a moment, I'm gonna ask you about your digital daughter, Alli, which happens to be my youngest name. But I when you just said about like the efficiency boom in the industrial age, I always think of that little comic strip cartoon that has the picture of the king. Do you know what I'm talking about? And the Gatling gun, the salesman is right behind him, right? And he's like, I don't have the time to listen to any salespeople right now. And it's true. I still am talking to people that are late 50s maybe that are going, what's ChatGPT? I don't need ChatGPT. And truthfully, they don't need ChatGPT, but they really should be harnessing some AI. I'll tell you just personally, I don't ever go to a website anymore. Why go to a website and scroll through multiple layers of pages to find out whether the trash is going to get picked up on Monday, Memorial Day, when I can just ask Perplexity to go find that out for me. And it does it faster than I can get to the first page. So it's funny. I think websites of the future are going to be just pictures with words embedded behind them, because I don't think, it's crazy. I don't even really use Google. I just use Perplexity to find stuff, and I use ChatGPT and Claude to learn things. Crazy. So tell me about your digital daughter, Alli. Okay, you kind of gave birth to her around the same time you were on paternity leave, so you almost have like twins.
Yeah, it's funny. I've never had any like, digital daughter. That's pretty hilarious, because it's true, right? It's like as I watched my daughter grow up, that was 2023. She'll be 3 in April. I've now watched artificial intelligence get to the level where like it gets a perfect score on the SAT every single time. It's like my daughter can't even read yet, right? And so like that shows you the hockey stick of growth that is happening with this technology, and the disproportionate stretching that's occurring, meaning that the people that are in the know, like, dude, we're like nose to the fire and we like think like it's moving so fast. But I'll tell you a prime example. I was at lunch the other day. I was interviewing a product manager, looking if we wanted to bring him on board. Right now, he works in a financial services company out of Nashville. He manages 4 software products internally. They're all internal products, but software products internally. And he has a team of 9 developers. And I was like, oh, man, dude, are you guys using Claude Code? And he was like, what's that? And I was like, oh, my gosh. You're a product manager. Like, you manage driving forth 4 software products. You have 10 full-time developers and nobody's using Claude Code. Like, what? And so like it just shows you, man, the tractor was invented and there were still people plowing fields with horses for many, many, many years after that happened. So, Alli, my digital daughter, as you say, it's kind of funny. We call her your first AI team member. We originally created her to take over a lot of the repetitive work inside of Carroll Media, right? So she does the creative now. She does the copywriting. We've got some internal software solutions we've built with her that she'll help make workflows more efficient using agentic AI. But the 2 biggest ones that have came with artificial intelligence that we've really been able to layer on top of is, I think your audience would love this the best, is she has the functionality to identify anonymous website visitors. So you install a script in the head of your website, and she can identify up to a third of the website traffic that comes to your site that doesn't opt into a form fill, doesn't call, right? And so you're getting more leads for the advertising that you're already doing. And we just saw that being a problem, right? That's welcome to entrepreneurship. If you haven't figured this out yet, you're just in the business of solving problems, right? And the bigger the problem you solve, the better money you can make. And so for us, when we were running Facebook ads, driving traffic to websites for insurance agents, they're like, hey, DJ, I'm getting impressions, I'm getting traffic, but nobody's opting in. Cool, let's fix that. So we started identifying anonymous website visitors. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's all cool, man, but like, I just want more phone calls. So then we would call their offices. And, this is the release that we had last year. We would call their offices at 2:00 in the afternoon. Nobody would answer the phone. I'm like, Bill, I'm sending you leads, man. You're not answering the phone. And so we went to work on that, and we launched Alli's voice capabilities mid last year. We just rolled over into the 2.0 version, which is super cool. There's a ton of products in the marketplace. A lot of them are built on top of, Vappy or 11 Labs or something like that. They're just resellers. We've built everything proprietary in-house, and we think it's one of the best voice products in the market. So we're super excited about that, man. So, she's just helping small businesses, man, which are my people. So digital daughter, though, I'm going to write that one down and steal that one and use it in the future.
That's right. So what's your kid's name?
Willow is my daughter, and then my son was just born in June of this last year. He's namesake, so he's the third. So I call him Junior. My wife doesn't like that, but he's named after me. So we're the family's complete now, man. Now it's just time to build this rocket ship.
Hey, don't cut any cords. All right, you never know. Your ideas might change on that. So my Alli was actually number 3. I had boy girl twins out of the chute, baby, and my wife, I was like 2 and done. Like, they're great. Why would we go from man to man to zone coverage? And she convinced me. She used her art of persuasion to convince me otherwise. So don't go doing anything rash. You might find room for a third. So that being said, hey, tell me about Alli and like what she's doing for your clients, like how you deploy Alli for your clients.
Yeah, so I actually have the approach that I think the last thing a small business owner wants right now is like another software they got to log into and build stuff inside of. So we're SaaS, right? We're software as a service, but we're heavy on the service side, meaning that we do all of the work for the client. So, from the AI lead detection piece, it's installing a script in the head of your website, and then, it's off to the races. We give you a Google sheet, and the leads populate as she identifies them. Super simple. And then that gives you the flexibility to use Zapier, go high level, whatever you may want to build out whatever types of workflow automations you want. That was done intentionally. I didn't want a walled platform. Same thing with the voice. We do everything, all the heavy lifting for the client. We build it out, and we give you a phone number and say, here you go, forward your phones. I got some clients that forward all of their phone calls to Alli. I have some clients that only forward after the phone rings 3 times so that their office team members have a chance to grab the calls. But then I have some team members or some clients that say, hey, we're just only going to forward the calls after hours. That's fine. We want to make sure that Alli works for the customer in the best way that they see fit. But what we were finding is the solutions that she provides and the price point that we're able to do those at, because we're building with AI and tech, is a fraction of what a team member costs. And the beauty behind all of it is like the consistency of software, right? Like, you can train a team member, your Tina that sits at your front desk, like, hey, Tina, right, answer the phone. It's always a great day at Joe's business. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with? And that's great until Thursday morning when Tina and her husband get in an argument, and it's no longer a great day at Joe's business, right? This is Tina. How can I help you? And that's where, honestly, Joe, I'm super bullish with AI. It's because for business owners, agency owners, like I see there being a repetitive nature that AI doesn't get tired of that most humans do, right? Humans will get tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again. And they're like, hey, I know Joe gave me this script, but like, I got my own way of doing these things. And it's like, dude, that's like one of the most frustrating parts as a business owner is, people not following standard operating procedures. So, yeah.
So how good is she? I mean, like, You know, I'm the thing that I would compare to would be whisper mode, like on Chat GPT or what have you.
Yeah. Well, let's put her to the test here, man. Let's see.
I love it.
Thanks for calling. This is Alli. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
It's DJ, and I've actually got Joe here with me as well.
Thanks, BJ and Joe. Great to have both of you on the line. Who should I address my questions to?
What?
Would you like?
Why don't you just talk directly to Joe?
Perfect. Joe, I'll focus on you. Quick qualification questions to make sure I can show you maximum value. First, what kind of business are you running? Once you answer, I'll ask about current AI usage. Then, if I'd be your first AI team member, then we'll dive into your specific.
Well, Alli, because we're actually on a podcast right now and testing you out live, the audio may not come through as clearly. So I'll just let you know, Joe's running an awesome podcast called the Agency Growth Podcast, and he's using AI a little bit in his business right now. But how could you help him?
Got it. Thanks for the context, Joe. Since you're already using some AI, quick follow-up. Would I be your first dedicated AI team member, or do you have others already handling specific tasks? After you answer this, I'll ask...
Actually, Alli, let me just interrupt you there. Oh, wow, I can interrupt you. You're not like most of those recorded playbacks that you see on websites, right? Joe, this is the beauty of that, man, is that she has full texting capabilities, full tool plugins. Like, if you wanted to plug in your CRM, it's pretty powerful. And because I know there's a lot of agencies that listen to your podcast, we have a great partnership program as well. So happy to help anybody out on that so they don't have to go down the development roadmap for the past 36 months like I've had to do with it.
Hey, so I'm just gonna jump right into some of the muddy waters as far as that's concerned. And if your answer is like, hey, it's based on the use case or whatever, and you have to develop a custom quote, that's completely understandable. Do you have a price point for that people can get into Alli for their voice tech? And
yeah, the voice is only $197 a month. That handles up to 600 calls a month. And then everything's included. So real time fine tuning. And the beauty of this, man, is like, I think it's just my blue collar roots is like, I kind of joke around. I say most of these tools are built by tech bros, not real entrepreneurs. And so, they just build out all these little features and stuff inside there. It's like, we use AI to build the bot. So the bot builds the bot, right? And so she's trained on your website. We just built one out for a big independent agency in Florida. And like, it went and pulled all the history that they had from their website. So like you could call and say, how long have you been around? Oh, we've been in business 45 plus years, right? I mean, she's very intuitive in the sense that the communication flows like you guys just heard it, right? That's my favorite thing to do is like to do a live when people are like, well, how good is it? I'm like, here, let me call it, right? Because most of the stuff you find online, they take their calls, but then they come in and they like edit them and chop them up and stuff, right? So what you actually hear in the demo is a recording, not an actual demo. That's why I'm like, hey, call Alli anytime.
Hey, I tell you what, if there's somebody listening right now that wants to check her out, do you have a phone number that they can call?
Yeah. You guys can call the sales line, as we call it, the sales engine. It's 502-401-1234. I don't know how we got that phone number, but that's like the easiest number in the world, 502-401-1234. And then you guys can always go to carroll.media/voice. That's 2 R's, 2 L's. And that's got there's a couple different demo lines. You can try like an insurance one we've made. We've got Rick's Roofing that we put on there, and even a demo of my power washing company, the example that you can try there as well. So, it's one of those things, man, where if your tech's good, like lead with a legitimate demo, right? Not a recording. So
I totally agree. And I'm going to give you a shout out there. I heard her, and that's great. I actually spent quite a few hours wrestling with Vogent, which is like a Vappy wannabe or what have you. The reason Vogent is because it purportedly can navigate IVR, like a phone tree. But it took me probably about I'm going to guess about 4 hours of going back and forth with Claude and ChatGPT to find out how to fine tune everything from temperature to pitch to frequency to finding the right voice and oh my gosh, the prompting. I mean, pages and pages and pages of prompting, just to come up with something that I thought was market deliverable. And it's probably not as good as what you did, right. So if anybody's thinking they can do it on their own, they can't. They can't. And for $197 a month, is that what you said?
Yeah, $197 a month, man.
I mean, it doesn't even make sense. I spent $197 and shoot, I probably spent $497 in hours just trying to put one together, and I had a little bit of experience. So hey, hats off to you. That's pretty cool. I might be a customer.
Appreciate it, man. I'll tell you, really, I think the difference is that I'm a brand guy. I always have been, right? Like even like my little power washing business, when I started it, I used to get the compliment. People they'd look at my flyers, my brochures, they'd be like, is this a franchise? Which if you're in business and you're not a franchise, that's like the highest level compliment you can get.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, everything looks tight. And so I knew that like when we were building Alli, I knew that I wanted her brand to be right. So like, for instance, her brand document, meaning like when we load in the prompt, like who is Alli, is 17 pages, dude. It says that she has like the technical prowess of an Ada Lovelace, which was the first female computer programmer, right? She has the pioneering spirit of an Amelia Earhart. She has the empathy of Oprah and the desire to save small businesses like Harriet Tubman wanted to save the slaves. So it's like, building all that in, when that fires up, what happens is people don't truly understand how these large language models work. You have to give it context, because like if you say king to an LLM and a large language model, like queen is pretty close to it. Castle's also close to it. But like pencil is way across the room, right? It's not context around. That's how these models think. And so when I tell it all of these things like, hey, Alli, as you're firing up, this is who I want you to be like, then it has all the context in the world, right? My brother the other day, he said he saw this on Twitter. He said these large language models are like toddlers with infinite intelligence. They have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't give them very specific directions, man, like good luck. And as you saw, man, you can waste hours and hours of your time. And we've poured in a ton of effort and energy into it. Then one last thing I'll say on it, and we'll stop talking because I don't want this to be a pitch about Alli, but the infrastructure that we've built is built to be scalable in the sense that the training is where the magic happens. Right. So if you have a business and you hire somebody to be on the phones, but you like train them for 5 minutes and then you never go back and coach them ever again, like good luck, right? It's not going to go very well. And so Alli to date has answered over 10,000 phone calls. Every month we take those phone calls, they're redacted, so there's no personal information in there. And we score them and we say, hey, Alli, here's calls you did really, really good on. Here's calls you did really, really bad on. And we fine tune the model. So literally when people work with us every month, they're getting a better Alli to answer their phones. It's not like a set it and forget it type of a system. So anyway, ask any other questions. I don't want to talk about Alli anymore.
Oh my gosh. She's my favorite. She's kind of hot too. I'm going to tell you, it's kind of, it's fairly attractive. I'm sure that was by accident. She probably drew herself, right?
Yeah, right. No, we've gotten out of the 1950s for whatever reason, man. We live in like a DEI world now, which maybe I'll lose some listeners here and fans. That's okay. I have my beliefs, but in the 50s and 60s, sex sold, right? Like it was a very attractive woman in every single ad, and for some reason, now it's like we got to put a ugly dude on the ad just so that like we're talking to all the demographics. I'm like, it doesn't matter. That some of these fundamental things about business still ring true, right? Like pretty ladies still get more business than us old bald guys.
That's right. Funny enough, I couldn't agree with you more. So tell me about your business strategy. Like, what do you see on the forefront, the trends that you're wanting to either leverage or jump on to for 2026 and beyond? Tell us something about your big plans.
Yeah, man. So we're pretty excited. We actually just did a deal with Dan Martell. So he is a strategic partner with us now, an investor in the company, and we're super excited about that, to be able to tap into his network. And that guy has such a great track record that we passed mustard with him. I was like, hey, that's a win in of itself. So it's going to be a big year for us. We're launching that next week. So by the time this gets out, it'll be public knowledge, and we're excited about that. The other thing, man, is like, I just want to tell people that are listening, like, be careful when somebody calls themselves an AI expert, right? Like, I've been sleeping and breathing this stuff for a couple of years now, and I'm still the furthest thing from an expert. I always joke that like the experts are in Silicon Valley, because if you hadn't heard, Zucks is paying like $200 million pay packages, right? It's like, if you're a true expert, that's where you're at. So just be careful where you get your information from, because I honestly, dude, I don't think anybody understands where we're going to be at in 60 months. Like, by the end of this decade, who knows, man? It's moving so fast. We may hit a point where, like, I don't know, the government comes in and turns it all off because we've figured out that it's way more dangerous than what we anticipated. We could be to a place where we are just on a massive productivity boom. And, everybody has learned how to adapt, because, like, we're human beings and we're pretty good at doing that. For me, I try to look at the next 12 to 18, maybe 24 months. I think anything past 36 months anymore, from a business plan standpoint, like, it's just a swag, right? It's a scientific wild ass guess. And so, for us, we're really focused on just, trying to get more people in to Alli's platform so that we can help some more small businesses. And then, just me as my personal brand, Coach Carroll, man, I just want to keep making content to encourage people to believe in themselves when nobody else believes in you, because that's a big part of winning in life. And then also just understanding that, I read about this in my new book, The Hunter Head Game, that just came out last October. If you show up, dude, nowadays, if you just show up with a positive mental attitude, you beat 90% of the people. It's actually that easy now. Just show up with a smile on your face and be ready to have a good day, and you'll beat 90% of people. So, I think the future is bright for entrepreneurs that aren't lazy.
Absolutely, I would agree with your supposition there. It's so funny because the world is filled with so much mediocrity. I told my kids this: look, all you have to do, just focusing on some of the blocking and tackling and the basics, human interaction, right? I mean, I've been telling them for years. I was like, basically, it's going to be human connections that separates us from the robots, right? So look people in the eye. Raise your voice up loud enough so they can hear you, because you will be the difference.
Yeah, you got to be. I mean, I think too, man. Like, Gary Vee talks about this, and I'm in the same boat with him. Like, I think in another 24 months, it's going to be indistinguishable, like, what's a human and what's not a human on social media, right? So, like, when we talked about, like, your audience, right, like, are focused on this digital marketing world, like, man, it's crazy. Because on one side of it, I love it, because, like, I can take my client that's 52 years old that doesn't want to be on camera, isn't comfortable on camera, and I'm like, dude, give me 2 hours worth of your audio and spend 5 minutes in front of this camera, and I can make you a digital twin, and now your team can just type and we can put out content that looks like it comes from you, right? That's super cool. On the flip side of it, it's like, yeah, but there's also going to be a lot of people, Trump talking about fake news in his first term. Like, talk about fake news, man. Like, there's about to be a whole onslaught of deep fakes that people are going to have a hard time deciphering from. I literally saw an older lady that I'm friends with on Facebook from back in the day. She shared the other day. She was like, oh my gosh, did you guys see this from the Smoky Mountains? And it was like a grizzly bear, like, trying to rip off the top of a car. And I'm like, all right, first, the grizzly bear is like twice the size of the car. Okay. Like, aspect ratios are off. Two, there's no grizzly bears in the Smoky Mountains. They're black bears. Right. And so, like, but welcome to social media. People are headline readers, right? And so she just shared it. She saw it, like, oh my gosh, be careful. I think that's the world that we're going to live in, man. And unfortunately, of course, people will abuse it. But I think some people will be able to use it to their advantage. I think small businesses, agencies, they're going to be able to put out content at a level that they weren't able to do in the past with the AI tools that are available.
I totally agree. So, hey, tell us about the Hunter Head Game. What from passive prey to relentless predator. I love it. It's killer instinct stuff.
The old world rewarded obedience. The new world demands killer instincts. So I've been working on this book, Joe, for about 10 years. It was a 500-page manuscript, and I hired a PhD editor to come in and help me write out the table of contents to kind of structure it. And then we actually used Claude and ChatGPT to do the editing. So they took it from 500-page manuscript down to a 250-page manuscript. So Claude and ChatGPT, let me be very clear, they did not write the book. Okay, this is Coach Carroll's content. They helped me edit it. And so some of the framework that I gave it was that it had to use 80% of the content had to come from the manuscript, the original manuscript, right? And so then what I allowed happen is I allowed the AI to do what all good editors do, right? Weave the chapters together, find stories, weave the stories together, make the points a little stronger, a little bolder. And so what came out of it, man, is what I think will probably be my best work. This book is made because we live in a world where people push a button, pay $8 to have a $5 cheeseburger delivered to them. Not very many people have ever killed anything in like real life, right? Like a hunter killed anything. Saber-toothed tigers don't come into the village and carry little babies away anymore. We've gotten soft, man, plain and simple. And so, unfortunately, I think there was probably at some point in our future going to be a day of reckoning that happens. And so this is like my wake-up call, man, that if you want to go out there and make something, achieve something crazy out of life, you can do it. I just was trying to put down a decade worth of lessons that I've learned into a format that I could pass along and share, life stories like my dad, being him and his 11 brothers and sisters getting taken away from my grandma when he was little, right? CPS came in and took him away. My mom fighting, colon cancer, and my cousin getting shot up in a drug house. Like, it was writing allows me to be very vulnerable in a way that like I can't do on video or when people are around. So when it gets quiet and I can write, I think I put out my best content. And so, man, the other cool thing is when you buy the book, you get a free AI that is trained on the book. So you literally can chat with the Hunter Head game. So if you're like, hey, what's Coach Carroll say about like the morning magic, like the 4 a.m. morning magic? Like, oh, it pulls it right up and it'll give it to you. So makes the book searchable and hopefully make it more usable for entrepreneurs all over the world, man.
Bro, that is pretty cool. I love it. That's a unique spin. Do you know if anybody else has ever done anything like that, like given an AI?
No, I know there's a lot of people that are writing books with AI. They'll be like, hey,
Sure.
I want to write a kid's book. Like, just go write it for me. And I'll tell you, like, I'm a college dropout. I turned down those football scholarships my senior year. I tried to go to community college to make my mom happy. It lasted 3 semesters, and I was like, this ain't for me, man. I'm just going to go make money. I'm dyslexic, and I was arrested twice by the age of 25. Okay, like if anybody is like got the chips stacked against them, none of that matters. Everybody's got a sob story. Everybody's got some story that they could back themselves into and be a victim. What I say is like, you've got to find a reason to do it, not a reason or an excuse not to do it, right? And so with this book, I knew that I eventually wanted to write the book. I knew that it was going to be called The Hunter Head Game. And so I would just write and write and write and write. And then just like the way that the world's kind of went post-COVID, I was like, now's the time. And then, with AI, I was like, man, I think I could use this thing to edit my book. And it came out flawlessly. I'm super excited. It also made some really cool, if you're listening to this podcast on the audio only version, you won't be able to see this. Maybe go check it out wherever the video formats are at. But I made these really cool like pin drawings, right, that are at the beginning of each chapter. And so this is one's from the Hunter's Utopia. And man, it's not anybody that I know of, Joe, has like used it to like actually edit their manuscript. And so pretty cool.
I'm sure that has happened. What I was asking about, sorry for the lack of clarity, do you know if anybody's created like an AI agent for a book? Like that
I don't know. It's fun. I really made it for my team. It kind of came out of necessity because I wanted them to like take quotes. And so they were taking the manuscript like to ChatGPT. Well, it's 250 pages. So ChatGPT was hallucinating. They started putting out content for me. And I'm like, I didn't say that, right? It's like I would see it hit my Instagram. I'm like, I didn't say that right there. And so we actually figured out a way to container it to where basically it will only pull like information from the source material. So it kept it from hallucinating. And so I don't know, maybe I'm the first one. I don't ever try. I try not to give myself too much credit in anything in life. So, hopefully it'll help somebody. That's the whole goal.
Well, I absolutely love it. So, What would you say has been, college dropout, arrested a couple times, what do you think has been the difference in your journey to succeeding in the way that you have with forging a different path?
Yeah, I there was a lot of times in my life, dude, that I'm 37, right? But I've been doing this since I was 18. So like I've got a lot of like I just got after it early. I credit a lot of my success to starting early so that when I took my losses, I didn't have a ton to lose. And so it was easy to dust myself off and get back after it. This is why I'm such a huge proponent of entrepreneurship in high school. I think we should encourage it more. It's one of my lifelong goals that, hopefully that we'll build this big software company. Alli will be this massive company. I'll be able to have a big exit. And then my mission will be to pour back entrepreneurship into high schools because I think it could save a lot of kids. It saved me, man. Who knows where I would have been if I would have followed the path of some of my cousins, or I'd have just went off to college and been broke like everybody else, right? I also think that believing in yourself is a wildly underestimated skill. When you're young, people say, well, you're cocky or you're conceited or you're full of shit, you're full of yourself. It's like, yeah, man, but that's kind of what it takes. Like, if you're going to create something that doesn't exist, nowhere else other than the 6 inches between your ears, but you can see it so vividly and you believe in yourself. And then most importantly, you'll back it up with the effort, right? You'll do the work. I don't think anything's outside of reach. And so for me, I've just always had this like relentless pursuit for success. It's not been easy. I had a fitness center when I was 27 years old. I grew at 300% in 18 months and then lost the whole thing because I had a real estate agent just clean my clock, man. I didn't know that I needed attorneys, right? And so contracts are a brutal thing if you don't read them. And at 27 years old, I lost $500,000 worth of real estate and a 6-figure business, So it was like kind of crazy to go like wanting to be a millionaire, being a millionaire, then not a millionaire anymore. Like, whew, okay, that's fun. And life has a way of humbling you too. So I think you got to believe in yourself. I think you have to show up with relentless effort and also have a long time horizon. Nothing happens quick, right? Most of your like overnight successes, they take a long time to do. But that's why I love business, why I love entrepreneurship, man. This isn't pro sports, right? It's not like you can only play this game for 8 years. You can play this game for 80 years, right? Like Lord willing, like you can play the game of business a really long time. And I've just always told myself that like, hey, man, my success isn't going to come until I'm in my 50s and 60s and 70s. That's when we'll make it big. And so like knowing that I'm doing this for life, not doing it for likes, that helps, right? That's setting the goal on the proper tilt. So yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe that's it. And then just having a great partner. My wife is amazing. She believes in me. She drives me to achieve my goals. She doesn't complain when I have to work late. I think having a partner in your corner that supports you in your endeavors is a massively undervalued asset that doesn't get talked about enough. But I do want to say, because like when I always have these talks about success and making millions and building a life that's amazing. Also, if you're listening to this right now, I want you to run your race, and start with what makes you happy. Because if you have a business that you're making 100, 200 grand a year, your bills are paid, you're not in crazy amounts of debt, and you never miss a dance recital for your kid, you never miss a ball game, that needs to be celebrated too, because I don't think we give enough entrepreneurs roses at that level. It's always like the Lambo, the Ferrari, the penthouse in Brickell, the yachts and all. Listen, man, there's a lot more to life. And run your own game, because at the end of the day, if you're not happy, none of it matters. It doesn't matter how many zeros you got in the bank account. So to me, I think you got to start with what makes you happy most, and then just run your own race.
I absolutely love that. Hey, I think that you say something really wise, and there's a lot in there. One is college is no guarantee of success, even if you end up with straight A's. Two is starting early gives you a lot of cushion, right? So and this translates into parenting. So I've got twin 25-year-olds and a 20-year-old. So I'm going to give you this weird little phrase that we came up with early on, and that is artificial amplification. That's a fancy way of saying let them fail and let them feel the consequences of those failures early. It's as simple as, I left my cleats on the field, can we go back and get them? No, we can't, because I've got other things to do, and if I do that, the real reason is if I do that, then you're just going to forget them again. Right. So you go, hey, we'll go and check back, or you can call your friends and you can try to solve the problem. No problem. I'm not going to put any handcuffs on you about that, but I'm not going to be the enabler. Right. And you know what? Our kids tended up to be the only ones that didn't lose their shoes at their neighbor's house. Like, I can't tell you how many kids used to come over to our house and just leave their shoes. I'm like, they had to walk home barefoot. I don't know. How do you lose your shoes? So anyway, and so I've got proof in the pudding. I've got a cross-country athlete on scholarship. I have 25-year-olds that both did 3 years of college and out, graduated, and have never asked me for $1 since the day they graduated college. And I will actually tell you, I forced $1,300 onto my son just because of a situation that we had, and he was just a little light, and he was just telling me about it. He didn't want anything. And I was like, here, look, take it. I had to say to him, son, listen, your grandmother left, your two sisters, X number of dollars worth of jewelry. You got zip. Let this be from Nana. And he goes,
there you go.
Okay.
Love that, man.
Okay. So yeah, it really does matter. And so, the values component, I think business is a great preacher of those values. I think business is a great way to get the gospel in front of people if you're into that kind of thing. And I think it's a great equalizer as well. Listen, if you can go like this and you can stand on your toes, unless you're in the incredibly unfortunate situation where you have some kind of like mental inability, you have no excuse to not succeed in the United States of America. So it's a great story that you have. All right, so let's just hop into a couple little fun things. Hey, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
If I had one superpower, oh man.
Don't say invisible. That's kind of creepy.
No, I would probably. I mean, I love flying, so I would say to fly. Like that would be pretty sick. Like if somebody's like, DJ, we need you at this conference tomorrow. I'm like, got it, no problem. Just let me grab my suitcase and I'm over there, right?
That's right. Absolutely, I'm right there with you. And then how about a morning ritual that kind of really powers your day that kind of must have?
So Tony Robbins has this priming exercise on YouTube. Fantastic. I don't do it every morning, but the mornings that I do it, it's pretty amazing. And then you got to move your body at some point, right? So for me, I write about this in the book, is that you need some type of meditation, you need some type of movement, and then you need to set out what your metrics are, meaning like what am I getting done for the day? If I can follow that path in the mornings, and the days are pretty solid. I think a lot of people, man, if they would just wake up a little bit earlier and spend a little more time on themselves than they do on their job, they'd get ahead just in that capacity. But so that would be my morning routine, morning ritual.
Do you have any tips and tricks as far as like your list of things to accomplish for the day? I know I've been thinking, I've been analyzing that for years. If I make it too long, I sometimes get like next to nothing done. You know what I mean? Because it just gets overwhelming. Do you have any insight into that?
Yeah, get an assistant. Like that should be. I don't manage my inbox. I don't manage my calendar. Amanda handles 80% of the travel stuff for me. And again, I'll just echo what Dan wrote in his book, Buy Back Your Time. It's up there. It's the blue one. If you haven't read that one, it's a great book. I'm not just saying that because he's my business partner. Like it is a great book, because there used to be this time versus money, right? In the beginning, you have way more time than you have money, and then as you progress through life, you should have more money than you have time, right? And so the way to get more time is to not buy things, but to buy people. I know that sounds kind of bad, right, and like tongue in cheek, but it is.
I know what you mean.
And Dan's to the point now where like he jokes around, like he doesn't even put gas in his car. Like his personal assistant gasses his vehicles up. And it's just like what, when you get to a certain level, man, it's like, what do you enjoy doing? Right. It's like, I enjoy businesses. I enjoy my family. Like, cool. I just want to do that. Like everything else can be probably handled by somebody else. And he has a saying, I'll attribute it to him. He's like, 80% done by somebody else is 100% freaking awesome. Right. And so I think that's one of the struggles early in business. Like if you're listening to this and you're like newer, maybe you're like, I call them young entrepreneurs. You could be 50 or 60 years old, but if you're in your first 5 years of business, you're a young entrepreneur. It's that getting out of that mindset of like, well, nobody can do it like me. You're right, Bob. I agree. However, somebody could do it 80% as good as you can, and that is good enough for your customers to not really know the difference. And that's how you can start to build a team, and that's one of the ways that you can scale a company.
Yeah, perfection absolutely is a problem for performance. So, hey, I love that. Hey, listen, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, go ahead and tell them the number to dial again. And also, how can we get your most recent book? Tell us all the important stuff that people need to know to get a hold of you.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. You guys can go to coachcarroll.com, Coach Carroll, CARROLL.com. Tons of free resources on there, links to the book, links to the podcast. My podcast is The Sales Factory. Tons of content on YouTube and social media channels. So that's kind of always say that's air traffic control, and you can go to wherever you want to go from there, coachcarroll.com. If you want to call Alli again, it's 502-401-1234. And if there's ever anything that I can do to help you, please feel free to reach out. I'm an open book. I don't gatekeep any of my secrets because I learned a long time ago. You can tell people where the biggest fish are in the lake. You can even tell them the lure to throw, and the day that you'll be out there to catch them, maybe you'll see one other person. Most people just don't show up. And that's why I think that if you show up with a positive mental attitude, you can beat 90% of the people. But I appreciate you having me on, Joe. Guys, if you haven't, make sure you guys go give Joe a comment and a review and a subscribe so he can get this podcast in front of more people and help make the world a better place. Appreciate you having me on today, dude.
Well, that's great. You sound like you have an abundance mentality, and I love that about you. Thanks so much for joining the Anvil and Iron podcast as we look to forge a new path in business and make some friends along the way.